Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And I get this question a lot. Which specialization do I consider to be the most fun to play right now in PvP? And it may actually come as a bit of a surprise, as you can see it on your screen right now. And it is the Affliction Warlock. I still greatly prefer the Rotten Dot, kiting, withering down your opponent playstyle that Affliction has to offer, even if it isn't the most meta right now. But I'm going to be giving you a rundown in this video to show you how you can get the most out of your Affliction Warlock. So here we've got a melee cleave lobby, the worst possible case scenario. We're going to cast Unstable Affliction and Haunt as soon as possible, get Phantom Singularity up for extra healing towards ourselves, and coil the warrior as our shaman enters crowd control and line of sight the hunter using this center tomb. If they've given up on attacking me here, I can see the warriors committed their Spear of Bastion, the hunter's in a kidney shot. I can poke my head around the corner and start casting spells and not be worried about being interrupted, because I can just Malefic Rapture through the hunter kick, wait, and then reapply our Haunt. We'll pour it away from the True Shot aim shots. Still want to be limiting the hunter's damage as much as possible by using the center tomb. We're going to trinket the Stormbolt and go for Soul Rot with Unending Resolve. This is a really aggressive opener against this warrior hunter composition, but I want to get momentum with an Assassination Rogue on my team. I need to get dots out, support them, and keep the pressure going as much as possible. And this is really letting us rot them down. You can see we've got UA on 3 targets with our set bonus, which is a really fun set bonus this season. We're going to use Kultiran to punch the warrior away from the pillar. We've got a blind over here on the healer. I can go for Haunt Shadow Bolt combo, almost solo the hunter on my own right here at this point. Just keep smashing out Shadow Bolts, baiting interrupts to use Malefic Rapture, shooting out our instant Shadow Bolts, and just staying on the center tomb as much as possible. And if the warrior wants to go on me, I'm going to pull them around the corner. We're going to kidney shot them and kill them. Poke forward, keep a little bit of dots on the healer in the back as well with Curse of Tongues and Jinx to apply dots, and then try to look for landing interrupts into the future. We get a coil on the warrior with no trinket. Priest is dispelling our dots a little bit, which is annoying, but we're just going to port away from the Blade Storm. We still got our port on the tomb. We can poke forward. As soon as they start to acknowledge that we're in the game, we're just going to port away immediately and evacuate. The warrior is snared heavily by crippling poison, so we can keep our distance, keep reapplying dots, keep shooting out instant Shadow Bolts, keep rotting them down with Malefic Raptures. You can see that we're really taking control of the game as far as damage. Line of sight while we're interrupted on the center tomb. Spam out Malefic Raptures during the smoke bomb. Priest is poking in. Time to get a fear on the priest, and he can't death it because we've got smoke bomb line of sighting us as well. So priest in a full fear. Dots are out. We're doing tons of damage. We're going to fear again out of the fear. There's no hunter interrupt, and we're really starting to ramp damage on the hunter and the warrior. After that, we're going to get Soul Rot up, and we're likely going to need to look to try and get dots on the healer as well, because if we can, after feared yards, if we can land an interrupt, a spell lock or something like that, it puts us in a really good position. So we land a kick that puts them further behind. Priest gets garroted, everybody's rotted, cheap shots come through, warrior gets dunked, we're doubling everybody's damage, and we're feeling pretty good about ourselves here in the first round on Affliction Warlock. And what I've learned on this map is that if you have a melee DPS on your team, taking the center tomb is really important. Staying back in the room is not the best idea because it doesn't provide you a significant amount of line of sight, and your healer is going to be just all over the place when it comes to solo shuffle if you try and put your port in the room with the melee on your team. Although with the hunter on my team, putting your port in the room with double ranged can be okay because it pulls them out into the open where your hunter is going to be able to rain down aim shots and really take control of the fight. All of my talents linked in the description down below as well if you would like those and to see what I've been running on my push to 2400, which I just completed on the Affliction Warlock. But I think this time around I tried just taking center tomb every time because I had lost a lot of lobbies. This is why I'm giving you guys lessons, from the grinder, so you don't have to live through my mistakes. Basically, we get Storm Bolted. We're going to put a port down, push forward towards the shaman, get dots on the shaman, just dot everything that you can. Unstable Affliction while they're out of range of interrupts. Try and fake interrupts here using Haunt, but the warrior is not falling for the fake cast, so we just end up going for the cast because we're tired of waiting, and they end up just not using Pummel at all, which is great for us, but it is good to fish for interrupts using Haunt. It's your fastest spell. We're going to use Haymaker and punch the rogue off of ourselves, keep tunneling down Shadow Bolts into the warrior in this position, while still using Curse of Weakness to maintain dots on the rogue and the warrior, and Curse of Tongues to maintain dots on the shaman. That's a really important utilization of the PP talent Jinx. We get a fear over here, so we're going to port, we're going to gate away. I want a little bit of distance. I want to get some casts off here. Haunt Shadow Bolt, get my UAs back up, get my Soul Rot off if I can. Honestly, casting Soul Rot first before Haunt should have been my priority, just because it's a slower cast. It's harder to do now that they're both on me like this. If we get kicked on it though, and because they're likely to overlap interrupts with 3 interrupts, we're just going to cast it, we get kicked, and now we can Malefic Rapture, and we can really keep our pressure going. We can interrupt on the Shaman. We see a stun, so as soon as you see a stun, get your casted spells off as soon as possible, because it's really stressful to get them off if the target you're attacking isn't stunned. We get kicked, we don't care. We can just Malefic Rapture, so it's great. We can sit in this position, we can just use Soul Rot to bait them to interrupt us and to overlap it, and we can just cast Malefic Rapture. We get Smoke Bombed here with no Trinket. It's a little bit dicey. We're also static fielded in this position, so we're just going to use Unending Resolve to reduce damage during that Smoke Bomb, and we can use Soul Burn and Portal Away here in the next couple of seconds if we need to, but I'm going to cast with a couple seconds left of that Unending Resolve. Haunt, Shadow Bolt, big combo on the Warrior, looking to interrupt the Shaman with a Spell Lock here to be able to win the game if we can. Shaman's playing nearby with Ascendance. We get Chastised, so I'm going to coil the Warrior. Bait kick with Soul Rot, go for the Soul Rot. We can Dark Glare this, extend it, and really start tearing in. When you get a Dark Glare Soul Rot, it's going to be a terrifying amount of damage to be able to heal through. And it's a little bit more single target when you play with a Hunter, because they're going to be scattering the off target. They're going to be trapping the healer. So focusing on Haunt, Shadow Bolt combos on the kill target is a little bit more important when you've got a composition like this. Kidney Shot hits us. We're just going to Dark Pact at full health. It lasts so long that you just want to make sure you're maximizing the value out of it. And that's determined by how high of health you are. Shadow Bolt procs, big damage on Warrior, keep Rot going on 2 targets, fake kicks with Haunt. Haunt comes through down Warrior. Should be trying to interrupt the Shaman here, but he's on the pillar in a position where I can't really interrupt him. But if I was able to get an interrupt right there, it's likely the end of the game. You get a double binding shot with a silence, which puts us in a really good position. I get Shadow Fury out of the binding shot, try and maximize our DRs a little bit more. We get a scatter on the healer, just keep spamming Malefic Raptures back to back to back until all of our soul shards are spent. We got Coil available, kill the grounding totem. Could honestly go for a Coil here with a Fear is what I think I'm trying to line up. He tremors, we can kill the tremor, go for another Fear. Really important to kill it as soon as you see it. Trinket out a lasso, go for another Fear. There's no tremor to protect it. We got dots, we got Haunt, big Shadow Bolt combo. We've been focusing Warrior, so we're going to keep hammering down dots onto him for as much as possible. Coil him away. It's overlapped a bit. I think it's just a shuffle moment here between Chastise and Coil. Still, the Warrior's locked down. We're getting pretty close. I see the Healing Tide behind me. You can't really kill a Healing Tide as Affliction. You kind of just have to accept that it's there and kill the target through it. And we actually managed to do it. We managed to kill it. We're still top in the meter. Still number 1 here in Runes of Lordaeron. This can be a really difficult situation to be able to deal with on Warlock. But if you're able to navigate around it accordingly, then you're going to have a good ride. We're moving into round 3 with the Warrior on our team. So now we got Intervene. We've got more lockdown, more stuns, which should be good for us overall, and the Warrior is just going to give a really good finishing power basically that Warlock doesn't have. Honestly, all 3 of these specs are great synergies with Affliction because they all have high burst, high finishing power, high executes, whereas you don't. You kind of just rot things low, but then they can capitalize on it. So it's actually a lot of fun as far as synergy. It's another reason why I find Affliction Warlock to be a really enjoyable time to play, regardless if it's the most meta or not meta at all. And I mean, Warlock's honestly probably pretty close to being meta, like a couple of adjustments on tuning, but I kind of feel like we're not going to see it considering the tournament is coming up this weekend. And we didn't see any up to this point, so I kind of think this is just going to be the meta, is what the meta is, but Corruption's come in, maybe that's going to impact it as well. We got Curse of Weakness immediately on the Rogue. We're staying at the Pillar and Earthen Wall Totem, waiting to see where the Hunter is. He's likely going to open on us, so we want to be in a position where we can line of sight if we can. Get a UA, snuck it in there, Coil with the UA, Priest hits the Dispel. They just buffed the UA Dispel, which is really nice. You can see it took like 30% of that Priest health away, and we're just staying on the center tomb and line of sighting with this tiny little pencil pillar in front of ourselves here with this Hunter and trying to bait the Rogue to come into a bad spot. Rogue doesn't want to come behind the pillar, so now we can get some casted spells off, which is really nice. We're using Haunt here because if we get kicked, we just Rapture. If we don't get kicked, we get Haunt. So either way, we win. It's a nice little win-win situation. Soul Rot, Dark Glare, big Rot pressure. I love the multi-UA with the set bonus. It's really fun. So now this Priest, although is in angel form, so he's able to dispel these UAs frustratingly for ourselves here in this position, but now we can just gate to this side of the tomb, bait the Rogue to come around the corner out of line of sight of the Priest, and if he doesn't, he doesn't really want to overextend right now in line of sight is Priest, so we're able to get a little bit of distance away from the Rogue, and if the Rogue and the Hunter push in, then I can port to the opposite side of the pillar and get to safety. We've got the Rogue on this side, we'll Haymaker while we're interrupted. Another reason I like playing Culturian is because you can use Haymaker when you get kicked, get a little fear on the Rogue, pull him around the corner, get him crowd controlled so I don't need to deal with the Rogue frustrating me while I can cast damage, and then look at just port away during the kidney shot to the opposite side of the pillar. Rogue can't get to me. It's a really good position to have your port on the center tomb. Utilize it to pull the melee into bad position so that if they chase you, they're likely to die or get crowd controlled. And then if they do chase you, you can just port to the opposite side. So you see I repositioned the opposite side of the tomb, and now we can portal back to the other side once the rogue commits. We get a triple Shadow Fury. We're keeping pressure going, Shadow Bolt procs, keeping our distance, trying to make sure that nothing, basically making ourselves as difficult to attack as possible. Haunt, Shadow Bolt the rogue, everybody's rotting. Warrior Warlock is super fun. Look at this pressure right now as everybody's dying. If I get like a singular spell lock on this priest, probably game over. We get a spell lock on the priest, exactly when I say that, it's going to cloak Void Shift. Although now we're getting a bit low, so we're kind of trying to get back into our portal range, portal away from the hunter. Hunter pushed in, I could sneak up on the priest, get a couple dots on the priest. Could honestly Dark Pact this stun if I really wanted to at high health. Dark Pact at high health, reapply dots with weakness, keep pressure going. Don't have any soul shards, I have to manually dot the hunter here, which is fine. Shadow Bolt procs, so we're kind of getting low. We're going to get silenced here in a second. We get smoke bombed. So Link comes down, but our warrior is not in it, so it's a little bit difficult. Rogue is garroting us multiple times, so we're going to have to coil. This is probably going to get dispelled. Fortunately, the priest didn't go for it. Now we got a line of sight as soon as possible. This hunter is absolutely blasting, and we're just falling behind. We're so low at this point. I should use Phantom Singularity, try and get a little bit of healing. We get a fear, but it's not enough. Honestly, I needed the warrior to come back, I think, and intervene and stun the rogue to be able to keep us alive in this position. I think going a little bit too aggressive onto the hunter there. That's the difficulty of being the warrior, is identifying when you need to be back protecting, when you need to be assisting, or when you need to be pushing in. But, you know, losing one round in this lobby after taking two is not really that bad, right? I'm sure that a lot of you have experienced it on Warlock, at least I know myself, where you get a lobby like this with a ton of melee DPS and you're just going 0-6, and everybody's like, oh my god, this Warlock is so bad, and you just get absolutely trashed for the remainder of the lobby. But it's honestly a very difficult situation, a very difficult lobby to work through, so we're not letting it get to us too much. We're still having fun with it, and this time around we got the rogue on our team. This is probably the best Affliction Warlock comp in the game right now, although Assassination Rogue, it's falling a little bit out of the meta with it being a little bit more burst based than normal. So I decided to put my port in the room this round, which is definitely interesting. I wonder when my past self decided to change that, considering how well it was actually going with it in the center tomb. But we got Cheap Shot Sap, so I'm going to get all my casted spells, the slow ones off right away whenever there's a cheap shot. So we get Soul Rot, we get off the Haunt, we get off every big cast on that warrior. We can Dark Lair it after we get some dots up onto the hunter as well. We Dark Pact at full health during the freezing trap. Now the hunter is stunned, so we're just going to free cast Raptures. He trinkets and kicks us, but you know, it costs the trinket to do that. Now there's no trinket for a smoke bomb in the future, so it's not too bad, honestly, that the hunter does that, or that you get interrupted in this position. We'll port back while our priest is still feared. We get annoyingly rooted during the port, which is a little bit sad, but hey, it makes the warrior commit spear to the rogue, and we like that because the rogue can just press evasion and pretty much negate all of this damage while I get the free cast in the back. So again, another advantage of just kind of portaling out early is that a lot of people in Shuffle will just frustratingly send their cooldowns on the other DPS. And if you got a rogue on your team with evasion, they're immortal to this type of comp. So you really want them to get baited and frustrated to attack the rogue during those windows. They can completely negate their attack. And then you can just start ramping up dots like this on targets from afar and really start working your damage up. Now I'm starting to push a little bit more aggressively here. I try to get a Coil Fear. Unfortunately, my pathing, my RNG there was not good. And honestly, using Coil on the healer is a little bit risky. But with given how this warrior is kind of just giving up on attacking me, maybe he's thinking like, I just got evasion, I need to stay on the rogue or something like that. So he's trying to stay ahead of the cooldowns. I think that's definitely a mistake because I'm really starting to ramp and get damage out of control at this point. But still accredited to the fact that we've got our portal in that really far away position. And now we can punish the hunter's trinket at the beginning of that trinket kick. Now he doesn't have trinket for the smoke bomb. We get a triple soul rot, haunt, shadow bolt. Everybody's rotting down at this point. You are not coming out of this alive. You are not coming out of this alive with over 2 million combined DPS sustained there for about 2.5 minutes. So you can see that it's the most important component is just making it annoying for the enemies to attack you, so that they stop attacking you. Because if they stop attacking you, you're going to enjoy your time on Affliction Warlock a lot more than if they are attacking you in a lot of these instances. And if they do continue to chase you, that's where you save tools like Coil. That's where you save tools like Haymaker if you're Cultiran, so you can just punch the rogue if they come in the room, or punch the rogue if they come around the line of sight, coil them into a fear, into a shadow fury, and just lock them out of the game behind the pillar. And then you can push forward and start to be more aggressive in a lot of those situations and a lot of those stances. So it ends up working out. You can make it work. You just need to be really careful with your portal positioning, your portal timing, and making sure that you're making it as annoying as possible for enemies to attack you if you're really going to unlock the full value of Affliction Warlock. So now we get the hunter and the rogue. and we lost this matchup last time. So you see a sap, and I just portal right away. I'm not going to be in the middle of the map with the rogue. My warriors dab with the sword and stuns. He'll be a lot more durable than I will. I can just poke around the corner, get a couple of instant dots, to get a haunt off around the corner, kicks it, whatever. It's just a hunter kick. Rogue's still not in range, and I can click my gate if the rogue steps here. So I'm staying next to the gate, getting ready to click that if I need to. And if he doesn't, then I'm just going to free cast. So I got my UA up, I got my soul rod off, I got all my dots going basically. We can get full dots up on the hunter. Mistake here to use tongues on the hunter instead of weakness. Shaman does dispel my soul rot, so it's a little bit annoying. That is like the main way to counter affliction, is if the healer is constantly dispelling like that. But they do hit a UA, putting them behind a bit, and we've forced them to commit death mark now to the warrior, so we're pretty happy. That's just going to be die by the sword. Warrior trades that pretty evenly, and now that that's on cooldown, I should be able to play a little bit more aggressively, and if I absolutely need to, I'm still in range of my port in the room, so we're just going to go for cast here, get the haunts off, big shadow bolt combos. I see the rogue kind of tentatively moving back and forth, and now the other team's kind of baited because they're like, well, we just got defensive cooldowns from the warrior, so I guess we should just keep attacking the warrior. But if they keep attacking the warrior, then I'm going to free cast and I'm going to start ramping damage, so it ends up maybe not working out for them in the long term. We're focused on peeling as well, although if they do commit like this to your teammate, you may need to spam fear, because it's still a lot of damage inevitably, and if you're running low on cooldown. So I've spam fear of the rogue a little bit there, spell lock the shaman, reload dots up, get pressure going. Disarm on rogue. I'm not sure if I like the disarm of the rogue, especially during like not a kidney shot with his marksmanship hunter. We get kidney shot here, we can just trinket it, we can get aggressive. There's no interrupts, so I trinket and I free cast. Might regret it, but they already use smoke bomb, so I sneak in a fear on the shaman. That forces trinket, get dots reapplied here onto the hunter, full row of dots. We've got soul rot available. We're rapturing, trying to bait the rogue to use something here. He gouges. And now that we've got to be watching the shaman as well, so we're going to fear the rogue. I see the warrior at 50% health, and I see the priest in a stun, so we're in a tough situation. We're just trying to spam fear, buy time for the priest to get any type of healing going here, like 10% health. We got guardian spirit. I'm just spamming fear on every target, just stalling, hoping that we use guardian spirit at some point here. Spell lock the shaman on lava burst, guardian spirit, fear the rapid fire. It's not enough. Not enough. We can't keep the poor goose alive here on round number 5, but we are entering into round number 6 and still have a chance. We still have a chance to get 4, still have a chance to win in this melee cleave lobby. We got the hunter on our team this time around, which is a lot of rot damage, a lot of burst. Honestly, a really fun composition. I'm curious to see how it would perform in actual 3s, especially given that MMR is starting to inflate a little bit more. I think a lot more people are going to start going for Gladiator and which compositions could be the best for you. It's got to still be, I would imagine, Assassination or Outlaw Rogue or Subtlety Rogue, really any spec of Rogue. But this Hunter lock comp can actually be a lot of fun. It's just a huge amount of random pressure, and the fact that both classes are a little bit of glass cannons, you can't really leave either the Affliction Warlock or the Hunter open, or they're going to start running away with the game. So this time around, I decided to take the center tomb. Interesting that I switched that plan around this time around. But center tomb, portal on this side, so you can move to the opposite side and then get a huge like double line of sight port basically. And I'm pushing towards the priest to get a full row of dots. He just angel forms right away. We're going to trinket coil the warrior on the kidney shot. Reposition out in the open so our hunter can free cast. Try and stay in the earthen wall totems. They swap to the hunter. Likely they want to disarm the true shot. They're probably a bit more worried about the hunter burst damage, but this is another advantage of this composition that makes it fun as a warlock, is that the hunter is such a high priority. It means you get to free cast more likely, so you get a fear and a double shadow fury. You have to be a lot more focused on utility and crowd control when you're not attacked, so it's about you playing on top of the healer, getting fears, you playing on top of the healer, getting counter spells, and then shadow furies and coils in the DPS to assist. You have to be a bit more of a playmaker when you're being left open like this. Don't fall into the trap of staying defensive and just spamming out damage when you're not the target. You need to be aggressive, and you trade off, right? If they start attacking you, then you focus on defense, portaling away. Then the hunter needs to be focusing more on landing interrupts and traps on the healer, and you kind of trade in and out like a WWE wrestling tag team type of situation when you're playing double ranged. But we get double feared. A bit stressful with the kidney shot here. This death mark, a lot of damage, so I'm trying to get Curse of Weakness back up onto them, trying to limit their damage as much as I can, given the amount of control that I have at the moment. Reload some unstable afflictions, get the haunts back out, get Phantom Singularity out, really start blasting bolts, stay away from the rogue who's rooted, don't want him dotting me for free, coil the warrior with UA so it's protected and covered, and try and get into a position to where I can get a little bit closer to the priest. Now the priest has really good positioning here on the tombs, which is making it difficult to actually push in for crowd control. Hunters goes for a YOLO trap and actually ends up landing it, and now out of that trap, honestly I should have been positioning to fear. This is a mistake on my part to just stick to doing damage. I go for the fear late, but now because I went late, he was able to shadow death it. You want to time the crowd control like the millisecond that it's ending is like the most ideal way to chain crowd control. Do it too early, you overlap. Do it too late, you give them a gap and they have an opportunity to break it. So here I went a little too late, left a gap, and the priest was able to death and break the fear. Now we're just trying to ramp up pressure again. Malefic Rapture spam. Step kick is a little annoying, but now there's no step to get back to the hunter, so the hunter might be able to kite. We'll spam fear. Just get a little bit of control here. Warrior has cooldowns rolling, so we'll spam fear on rogue, target warrior. Reason we're targeting warrior is because you can't fear a warrior. They have berserker rage, whereas you can fear a rogue, so you can get a little bit of extra crowd control based on your targeting here, depending on the kind of utility and defense available. Priest gets feared on last sight. Big shadow bolt combos. You got stack fielded around the corner. He tried to leap out. He didn't get anywhere. Massive crits. We're able to close it out, get 19 points, and just squeeze over 2,400. And you can see it's a lot of fun once you're able to min-max everything. Once you're able to find those moments to make it annoying for the enemy team to chase you, so that you can get some breathing room to be able to do what you need to do and get what you need to accomplish done, because otherwise it can be really overwhelming. So I think for a new player it can be really difficult. So I hope that this video has helped you out and you've got like a better understanding why I still enjoy it. Even if it's not necessarily the meta, it's still one of the most fun play styles for me personally. So thank you guys very much for tuning into the video, and I will see you in the next one.